This is the Fatboy Show on RX Radio, and I am Fatboy, welcoming you to this Monday morning extravaganza. Hoping you had a fantastic weekend. There's plenty of excitement from across the Nile in Busoga, where the people there celebrated the royal wedding of their king and their new queen. We're going to be getting into that in just a little bit. But first, I want to bring to your attention a very interesting controversy that's been brewing on social media, of which I'm proud to say I'm involved in it. It has to do with conversations about coffee dates, okay?
Wow.
Now, Mr. Innoprince, how are you doing today?
I'm doing.
You're good.
Perfect. I'm doing fine. Just that you brought those coffee dates, and I'm now like, the last time we were here, we were talking about date nights.
Yeah, coffee dates.
All right.
Do you ever go on coffee dates? Basically, you meet a girl somewhere, maybe you exchange numbers, and then you call her up or text her and say, hey, let's meet for a coffee. Do you ever do that?
Yeah, sometimes I do it.
Or do young people do other things? Because you're young. Do you guys do coffee dates at all?
I don't do coffee dates. Okay.
Coffee dates is more my generation.
Yeah, that's your generation, I think. In my own context, I would be like, can we meet at a bar or somewhere?
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
No romance. The romance is
we go
gone.
vibe along and it's done.
Boom. So, I come from the generation where if you meet someone and you spark
The
conversation
kind of.
and there's a connection, you say, hey, might you be free for coffee later this week? And then you make plans to meet somewhere and then meet and get to know each other over a cup of coffee.
Which is cool.
Now, the problem is a lot of ladies in Uganda these days, even from my generation, don't like coffee dates anymore.
Wow.
They have turned dates into feeding sessions. They want to eat.
They're not still interested in that.
So you would think if you invite
the
a girl,
coffee dates come along with the eating.
No,
It's just about
no,
have
no,
a cup
no.
of coffee here.
It's a coffee date. I
Like
know, listening.
specifically the way it's said,
Coffee date means coffee. We meet to have a cup of coffee.
That's it. Wow.
So you meet, have coffee, sip on the coffee, enjoy the ambience of the restaurant or cafe, wherever you are, have conversation, and then hope that
Fatboy, that is your generation now.
hope that you've learned more about the other person and she's learned more about you. And then you can plan a future date where it could be dinner or lunch or whatever else. So coffee dates are usually...
It's like the spark.
Yes, it's like step one.
Yeah, step one. Like
So if I meet you at a function, at a party, at a reception or something, and I'm like, yeah, she's cool. I should get to know her, or maybe we match on the dating app or something. Of course, the first meeting will typically be a coffee date.
All right.
And it's also practical for men because it allows you to get to know someone without investing too much into the meeting. Can you imagine blowing hundreds of thousands on a first date, like crazy dinner,
But
and then she ghosts you?
Like you've just put it, the generation of the ladies that we have today, or even in this Uganda of ours, there's no lady that you're going to take out and just have a cup of coffee and just sit down and have a conversation. I'm sure even if you have the conversation with the lady right there and you're having your coffee, she won't really be into it that much. She'll be like, okay, this guy now, we're just here sipping coffee. There's nothing.
So that's the thing. But you see, all right.
Is he broke? Is he what?
Yeah.
Those are the kind
So
of...
that's the kind of feedback I was getting. And so I launched a war on Facebook in which I was admonishing the ladies who would come to a coffee date expecting to eat. I narrated an experience I had, a long time ago where I invited a lady out to a coffee date. And then, of course, she was late, as ladies typically are, which is fine. It's okay.
Trying to come looking
all right.
nice.
It's okay.
And
She was about half hour late. But anyway, she found me already having my coffee because I already made my order to have the coffee as I waited for her. And so as soon as she sat down, of course, the waiter came and said, what will you have? Now, you would think if she had any manners, she would have said, I'd have a cup of tea or water or juice or something.
Based on what you're also having right there.
The lady asked for the menu and looked for the most expensive meal she could find and ordered it. Now, I was just shocked.
You're shocked. You're like, okay.
And then
immediately that was like...
Immediately for me, red flag. Like I was so bored from the conversation. That act alone just turned me off. And then they brought the food, and the chick was just munching the food. The chick was hungry.
Like she had been on a 3-day. But that's the situation. That's the situation of the ladies out here in Uganda or in our Kampala of late. If you're taking them out on a date, let's get off the term, the coffee date. What the ladies know, you're taking me on a date. We're going to have a conversation. We're going to talk, but the food is what makes the date.
You see, but the thing is, if I have said to you, let's meet for coffee, that's what I said. I didn't say let's meet for dinner. It's 5 p.m. It's 5 p.m. Why do you want to eat a meal at 5 p.m.? Did you not have lunch before? At 1 or 2? And aren't you going to have dinner at 7? By the time you sit with me at 5 p.m. and you're ordering a meal, it means you're a broke chick who has either not eaten that day or will not eat later on. So she's like, yo, this is it.
This is the time. This is the opportunity. I have to grab it. I have to take advantage of it.
So yeah, there's a lot of broke chicks.
You got a lot of backlash from that state.
So yeah, so
not so many were in agreement with it, right?
The men were, of course. The men were like, hell yeah, it's about time.
That's from an expense perspective out there.
They're like, bro, preach. And the ladies are like, you're broke.
You're broke. But it's culture. It's culture.
It is cultural, isn't it? But and the reason why it is cultural is if you've been on dates with foreign women.
Yeah, because I actually, even if you look maybe just from basics, from movies, if you look at how they paint a picture of a date, it's not about food. You just see people
you just sit and you
drink.
And you talk and you converse.
You're conversing.
Yeah, because, and that's just how it is. And so if you're looking for that kind of conversational, romantic encounter.
Honestly, also me, I wonder how
I'm sorry to say,
be there. You're trying to.
That's the thing. Yeah. Like you have food in your mouth, you're talking as you're chewing. It's not romantic.
You're with knives and forks.
Yes. If it's the first date, just be sipping on your drink and you chat. That's the whole point.
But people don't get it right here.
Ladies don't get it. Which is why I think in Uganda, relationships just can't work because we're like animals. It's like you go for a date and you're expecting to have a feast.
Give or take.
So by the way, after you've eaten the guy's food, of course, he wants to sleep with you that day.
Exactly.
So there's no aspect of getting to know someone, having conversations. So I would say to the ladies who are opposed to coffee dates, just being coffee, to try to elevate these romantic encounters so that they're more meaningful, because in the long run, it helps you choose a more suitable partner. Because look, if you're going out on dates based on who's buying you food, and that's the criteria for you choosing who to hang with,
cheap.
You're going to end up with weird guys.
And a guy who can be able to do that.
Any guy who can buy you pork all of a sudden is a candidate for boyfriend. Come on.
It really makes
Are you for sale?
Very, it's more like another version of a whore.
Yeah, it's prostitution. It is prostitution. You said it. It's prostitution.
Oh my God.
To the ladies who were offended at me insisting that a coffee date should purely remain a coffee date, please elevate yourself, elevate your mind, and let's bring romance back to the conversation. Because at this rate, if it's just about chewing food and chewing thighs, I don't think. I don't think that's a good thing.
It's a hard one. It's a hard one here in Uganda, and I doubt anyone will be in for that.
Yeah, man.
For the ladies, but
we gotta change.
Us as the men would say that would really be a good one if they really understood. It would save a lot. Yeah. But the truth is, it makes a lot of sense. First date.
It does, and you know why it's also important? There's a lot of exploitation. Research shows, they carried out research in America, and 30% of women admitted to going for a date only because they were hungry. Wow. Only because they want free food.
They just want free food.
Now, this is America.
Or they want to catch up with that kind of meal there. So,
Yeah. This is America.
American.
So if in America, 30% are admitting to going out on a date just to eat.
Pretty sure in Uganda.
What about in Uganda?
95%.
95%. And that's the secret. That's why they're opposed to these coffee dates being about coffee only, because most of them are only going out on dates because they want to eat.
Food. They want
not
to
because
eat.
They want to get to know you.
Nah.
Not because they want to converse with you. She's she's trying to survive.
But that shows you how bad
That's
we are.
her meal for that day.
That's how bad things are right here.
Yeah,
for
so
us
don't
in
be
Uganda.
telling her about coffee. She's hungry.
She's hungry. If you give her the coffee, maybe she'll pretend. She'll sit there and sip the coffee, but deep in her mind
She's
and
like,
thought,
yo.
she's like, broke guy here.
Bro.
Broke guy. Wasting
Wrong
my
choice.
time. Wrong choice.
Woo, Uganda, we are in trouble.